Manchester United and PSG scout Roma striker Abraham. According to La Gazzetta dello Sport, Manchester United and Paris Saint-Germain had scouts watching Tammy Abraham score for Roma against Milan, setting the price tag at the €80 million Chelsea buyback clause. The England international thought he had won it with a late goal at the Stadio Olimpico yesterday evening, but it was cancelled out by Alexis Saelmakers at the back post on 97 minutes. It is reported his performance was enough to impress the talent scouts who were in the stands, sent by Manchester United and PSG. Abraham is a product of the Chelsea Youth Academy and was sold to Roma in 2021 for €40 million plus bonuses. Above all, the Stamford Bridge side retained a buyback clause set at €80 million. Italian reports suggest that Roma warned interested parties they must take that clause into account, and pay close to that sum in order to tempt the 25-year-old away from the capital. This has not been as prolific as his first season in the Giallorossi jersey, still finding the net 9 times with 7 assists in 45 competitive appearances. Erik Ten Hag sends a message to Manchester United about £100 million target. Manchester United have had a below-average season. It's been nowhere near bad, however, they would have hoped to be higher than 4th at this stage of the season. With that in mind, Erik Ten Hag wants to have a strong summer transfer window and bring in the right players to mount a tougher title challenge next season. The one position which the Red Devils could do with improving is to sign a new striker. Marcus Rashford, Anthony Martial and Wout Weghorst do an adequate job there. However, the aim is to sign an out-and-out striker and goal machine, so they can keep up with Manchester City's superhero like Erling Haaland. Several names have been thrown out there, including Victor Osimhen and Harry Kane, but Erik Ten Hag has made his stance on the situation clear. According to The Sun, Ten Hag has made it clear that signing a striker should be their out-and-out priority this summer, with Harry Kane being their top transfer target. There are 2 complications with this, though. One of them being that Spurs are demanding a fee of £100 million, which United would be able to afford, particularly under a new wealthy owner, however it's not ideal. Secondly, Chelsea would also like to sign Kane, potentially reuniting him with Mauricio Pochettino. But still, it makes sense that Erik Ten Hag has sent this message to the club. He's done very well to make do without a goal machine, ensuring there's a plethora of creativity from different positions to essentially force goals in. However, signing a 20+ goals per season striker would make the team a different breed. For today's Manchester United transfer news roundup, click here. Let's not forget that Spurs aren't going to qualify for the Champions League without a miracle, so Manchester United could be a great destination to provide Kane with the competition he loves, but has eluded him. The fiery post-match clash which will have delighted Erik Ten Hag. As the final whistle sounded, and the anti-Glazer chants subsided briefly to give way to lusty cheers to celebrate Manchester United taking another big step towards Champions League qualification, 2 players in red were busy reprising a familiar scene. For all the cunning and running of Marcus Rashford up front and the obduracy and composure of Victor Lindelof and Luke Shaw in central defence, the tone throughout was set by Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes, and everyone else had to follow suit. No one drives as high standards in United's squad as that pair, and there was another glimpse of that at the end when they became embroiled in a fiery exchange, while others of a red persuasion were busy celebrating 3 crucial points against Aston Villa in the final push for a top 4 finish. It evoked memories of a similar exchange on the Wembley turf after United's Carabao Cup final triumph against Newcastle in February, when Casemiro took Fernandes to task for not squaring a pass at the death to Scott McTominay to score. On that occasion, things ended in wry smiles. This time around, there was a hug, but both incidents spoke volumes for the demands they place on one another and the rest of the team, and are the sort of thing manager Erik Ten Hag loves to witness. United's best 2 midfielders were hugely influential against Villa, the Premier League's most informed team after Manchester City coming into this, in their contrasting ways. Casemiro knitted defence and attack, reading the game superbly, while his long-range passing was one reason why Ten Hag's instruction for his team to play high, angled balls over the top of the opposition defence proved so effective. After a noticeable dip in performance level, a byproduct perhaps the disruption caused by multiple domestic suspension, This was a strong return to form for the Brazilian, who also hit the crossbar. I think that in every season you see nobody is always playing brilliantly, Ten Hag said. He played such a high level, but some games with suspension his rhythm was broken and he had to get back. Today it was the case we've seen all season. He brings so much organization, composure, determination, and his leadership is so important. Others go with him. Fernandes is principal among them. The Portugal midfielder's relentlessness and hunger was encapsulated in that moment when he beat Alexandre Moreno to the ball to sweep home his 100th career league goal from a tight angle after Emiliano Martinez had pushed away Rashford's shot. Before then, Villa fans had given Fernandes dogs abuse, so he seemed to be making a very deliberate point when he raced to the corner flag and stood proudly in front of the opposition supporters for what felt like an age, eyeballing every one of them. Obviously, they probably don't like to play against me, but it is what it is, said Fernandes, who has 7 goals and 8 appearances against Villa. It's football, I'm okay with that. They can enjoy the game in the way they want. I would prefer them to come and support their players, instead of focusing on me, but if they think it's better to be focused on me than their own players, then I don't mind that at all. 8 weeks have passed since Fernandes faced calls to be stripped of the captaincy he has held for much of the season in the absence of the official club skipper, Harry Maguire, after the most petulant of displays in that 7-0 capitulation at Liverpool. But his reaction since then has underlined not only Fernandes' importance to Ten Hag but his strength of character and appetite to play. Most players would have come off after suffering the first half ankle injury that Fernandes sustained in the FA Cup semi-final win over Brighton a week ago. His foot had to be placed in a protective wrap and he was on crutches, but he was back playing against Spurs in midweek, and omnipresent again here. He's so tough, Ten Hag said. A couple of weeks ago there were questions about his captaincy. It's crazy. He's such a big leader. He gives so much energy to the team. His determination, passion, resilience, we need such players if you want to win games and make trophies. Against a Villa team that had taken 26 points from the previous 30 in the league, and an angry backdrop of fan protests calling for the Glazers to sell up, United produced their best 90-minute display for months. Fernandes and Casemiro were imperious, but this was another encouraging display from Lindelof and Shaw in the absence of the injured Rafael Varane and Lisandro Martinez. Lindelof has not always looked the bravest of defenders for United, but he was robustness personified here, making a series of vital clearing headers, while Shaw again looked like he had spent much of his career playing at centre-half. If United are to finish the job in the league and overcome Manchester City in the FA Cup final to claim a second trophy this term, the form of those two will be as important as Casemiro and Fernandes continuing to hit the heights.